So there's really no easy way to transition from what we were just doing to what we're going to talk about for the next, hopefully, 20 minutes. But this is going to be about serious issues. So this is really stemming off of like Nacho's training that he gave on Saturday, which is about grief and loss. And this is a very common way that some people deal with some of these emotions that they're dealing with. So the purpose is to give all staff members the tools for recognizing, reporting, and working with campers' serious issues like suicidal ideation, eating disorders, and self-mutilation. So, to start off, we are going to grab a paper, or your phone, because we're in the 21st century, and you're going to take just like a couple minutes. You just won the lottery. You just won $50 million. What are you going to do with that money? So there's some things that you, like questions to spark your memory, but I bet you've already thought about this. So think about what would you do with 20, 50, whatever, how many $1 million you want to win from the lottery. Here's some responses. What would you guys do with 50, $500 million, whatever amount of money you want to use? Nothing.
I'd go to Making Magic.
I wanted to say that the first thing I would do would be to donate all of it to Camp Kesem, but I also realized that I have lots of student loans that I would like to pay off. That's the first thing I'm doing is taking care of my debt.
Treat yourself and then treat Camp Kesem. Okay, so pay off some debt. What else? What are some other things you guys would do? Yeah.
Buy a lot of houses and rent them.
Starting
Business guy.
Wow. Kid's gonna go far.
So
Nice.
Trip.
Going on a trip? Where are you going? The whole world? Okay. What else? What would you do, SpongeBob?
The first one?
Yeah, first thing you do. You just won $50 million.
I've always really wanted like a really expensive couture dress. I probably would.
There you go. All right, Mr. Sunk Cost.
I'd probably buy all of the skins for Fortnite and then give that swap so I can finally play the game.
Unless it's last night, then you can play. Okay, what else? Couple more. From the back. Yeah, it's buckwheat, right?
I would research a cruise that you can pay $16,000 to go to every continent, and I would buy it.
Nice. 2 tickets. Take a friend. Okay, one more.
Look this up.
One more. Smooth, what'd you do?
Well, I just don't look at all the smileys and cheese from Walmart.
Okay, cool. We won't really talk about the other questions because I feel like it might bring them, like this one especially might bring some bad out in people. Like you start like making, or not, I guess you can like hold it in front of them. So, why is there such a wide variety in what people would do with $50 million? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I think it's just because we're all different and we all have different like desires and dreams, things like that.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Got me there.
We all value different things, like the things that I value. Like I would want to buy any one of the things cheap. So it's like, no. So like, but it doesn't mean that's not cool. I still value it.
That's true. So we have
Like we value different things.
we have different values. Okay, so we're different people. We have different values. What else? Rapunzel.
Those are my 2 answers.
Or you can go to the second one.
Yes,
How come there's big
Well,
difference in
because-
people's coping strategies?
because we're different people,
Yeah.
different backgrounds. And just by nature, people react to things in different ways, whether that's like good news or bad news. People just like nature and nurturally have like their own coping systems.
Exactly. So the reason why I decided to start with something extremely positive is to kind of prove that point, that we all have extremely different coping mechanisms because we value different things, we're different people, we have different interests, and so in the same way that we do different things with $50 million, we're going to do things differently with how we react to difficulties, to trials, to struggles that we're going through. And so that's kind of what we need to realize when we're dealing with these serious issues is there's nothing wrong with anyone whenever something happens like that. It's completely natural for people to want to go buy cheese and Smileys. It's completely natural for somebody to want to pay off their student loans. Like, it's justified for people to do what they feel like is best for them. And so that's kind of the point we want to hammer like in with like a positive example, and now we'll kind of dive into these serious issues. So we're going to kind of split it into two things. One is what is it, and two, it looks like. So if you remember, we're going to talk about suicide, and then self-harm, and then the third one was eating disorders. And so I just realized that the answers are going to be up there, so we'll just discuss them. But the first one we're going to do is about suicide. So this is verbal, written, or even internalized ideas of hurting yourself and or taking your own life. So just kind of some things like, so that's the what behind what suicide is, and then these are ways that it could be, I guess, these aren't a exhaustive resource or list of ways that it could appear, but these are some of them. So let's go ahead and keep reading. We'll go ahead and start here with Serenade. So,
just for the looks like,
Yeah.
sounds like. Okay, saying it out loud in any situation, even as a joke.
so this one's extremely important for you guys to remember with the campers as well, and we will tell the campers this, is even if it is as a joke, we have to take it 100% seriously, because if we were not to act on somebody jokingly saying, I'm going to kill myself, but they were joking, and we thought they were joking, but they ended up doing it on, like, at Camp Kesem, like, they just would, everyone would feel really bad about it, and it just wouldn't be good for the organization either. So the kids know, but if they if you hear them joking about it as well, like, please come talk to the admin team or the camp advisor. In no way is this, once again, in no way is this to try to like make people feel shameful about like their actions. It's just like we have to take everything extremely seriously and at face value, just because we can't take that risk. So yeah, split both of them.
Writing it down.
Okay.
Okay. Alluding to it in the past.
And McQueen.
Referring to a friend or someone I know.
Okay, so these are just some of, like, it's actually Chris Thurber, I don't know how, Thurber. He's the guy who does the EOT videos. I'm not sure his, like, official title, so I'm not going to say it because I don't want to, like, ruin it. But he deals with, like, young children all the time, and especially during, like, these types of situations. And these are the kind of the things that he brought up as far as ways that it could happen. Thursday night, as you know, is empowerment, and so that's a chance for kids to talk. And if they bring it up, like 3 years ago, I had like thoughts of killing myself. Like, we still need to take that, and even if like the parents know about it, we're going to call them and make sure that they're aware of it, because we just can't take that risk. We love these kids way too much for them to even think that it's not taken seriously. Any questions about this one? Yeah.
This isn't a question, but I want to say this.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that with this and with other issues that we're going to discuss, it can be like really scary to tell the camp advisor about it. Like, I had a camper last year who said, like, I thought he said he was going to kill himself. And, like, I knew that he was joking. And, like, we investigated it and he was fine. But, like, I was so afraid to, like, bring it up because I didn't want this kid to go home. Like, I didn't want him to get in trouble. I didn't want to get in trouble. But, like, with any of these things, remember that, like, your best interest is, like, the child's best interest. And so, like, you aren't, like, ratting someone out. You're, like, helping them find the help that they need. And maybe I'm the only one that's, like, scared to talk to the camp advisor about problems. But, like, that's the thing to remember. Is, like, if you're, like, it's probably not that big of a deal. Like, they're probably just being dramatic. Like, it could be a big deal. And, like, you'll love the kids so much that you'll want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people hide behind humor as well, especially teenagers. And so if they say it as a joke,
It could be, yeah. I agree. Yeah, those are two really good points. It can be very intimidating to like even confront that issue, but the blessing that we have is we don't have to do that as a counselor. Like, that's why we have our mental health professional there on site to like help us kind of walk us through these challenges that we've never probably dealt with. And even if we have dealt with them, Like it can be completely different, as we saw before. Thank you too for your comments. Okay, anything else about this one? Okay, so now we're going to go to eating disorders. This is really hard to read, so I'll read it here. So it's an unhealthy relationship with food. This could be too much, too little, emotional eating, binging and purging, and many more variations. Be careful. Just because kids either have specific dietary restrictions or needs, or just really picky diet does not necessarily mean they have an eating disorder. So that's what it is. It's that relationship with food. So let's go ahead and keep reading. I think we're at smooth.
Way too much or way too little food at
Growing up after my dog.
Nervousness or agitation about food.
Okay, so this is one where like it is extremely important that you guys are very vigilant at mealtime, not to like be weird about it, but just kind of be very observant of what's going on in your group. You might notice that like a camper is not eating like the whole week. It may, even if it's not a eating disorder, if it's something that they just don't like the food, we need to make sure that they're eating. Like we can't just have them go a whole week without eating. That's just not good. So make sure you're extremely like vigilant of that. And if there is a problem, like once again, you don't have to go approach the kid yourself. It's something you can bring to us, and then the mental health professional can kind of help us walk us through that. So, any questions or comments about this one? Yeah, Tarzan.
You'll find a lot of picky kids, especially some of the younger ones. So you just have to find ways to try and help them to encourage them to eat meals. It's going to get bad, but it'll be there. So just always be aware of that.
You have to try it before you go talk to them.
Yes, please do. Like, don't think like because he's just not eating, it's something like that. Like, give it a good effort, and if you just can't do anything, like even if it is not an eating disorder, they just don't want to eat, like, and you've tried 2 or 3 meals and like with 3 different people, like then that's where we can go talk to them and like call their parents and say, hey, what do you do when your kid's not eating? Like, has he struggled with this before? So that's a very good point. I don't know what the rule will be this time because we're not really sure what the food's going to be. But before it was they had to try their food, and then we'd always have like a backup, like PB&J sandwich, or I don't know, what was the other backup, McQueen? I can't remember what else there was for them to eat. Yeah, cereal. Really, parents are really good with that. If they know their kid struggles with it, they usually pack like a week supply of something that they can kind of hopefully like feed themselves through. So,
And it's
yeah.
not like the meals are like crazy exotic.
No.
Like they can usually find something that's like, if it's a sandwich but they don't like the meat, like they just have like bread or like there's things that they alter like the meal and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know of like eating problems before they get there, if there's like a specific dietary concern. So it's not like they just show up and they're like, oh, I'm allergic to gluten.
Mhm.
But you know before you get there.
Yeah, that's also a good point. Is we'll have the kids like have lanyards, and we'll put a sticker on their lanyard for like a specific dietary restriction. This is obviously only dietary restrictions. We're not going to. You will probably know if they like have struggled with an eating disorder as well, but obviously we're not going to put a sticker on that. So, but you will know like if that's something they struggled with before. So, any other questions about this one? All right. Okay, so the last one that we're going to go over is cutting and other forms of self-mutilation. So compulsive and often routine modes of physical self-harm. Let's keep going. I think it's where I start, Lord.
Having vigilant covering of certain areas of the body.
Wide mood swings and variety.
Sense of extreme calm and control afterwards.
Okay, I don't really have much more to add to this one. But once again, like, yeah, you have something. Perfect.
I know scratching is one. Like, I had a friend who had really, really bad anxiety, and she would just start scratching her arm, and it got really bad to where she would make herself bleed. So like if the kid is just like constantly just scratching one place, and it looks kind of like kind of anxious, then that could be a problem.
Okay.
So it's not just like cutting or burns
Right.
or like burns. It's like itching's a really common one because it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good.
And this is like a severe mental thing. They'll become hyper focused on self harming, and it's almost like their personality vanishes completely, and they'll only be focusing on self harm. So if you recognize this, it'd be super important to get a mental health professional's help immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think helps a lot because it's self-harm isn't that they actually want to hurt themselves. It's they're trying to find an outlet to deal with whatever mental health problem they're dealing with, and so getting a mental health professional to talk to them and help them is really important.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, and it's likely, like SpongeBob said, like that they're not going to be cutting themselves at camp. I mean, it could be like that could be it, but it's more likely a milder form of something like cutting or like scratching or doing something like, I don't know. But yeah, that's a very good point. It's like it's not that they like enjoy it necessarily, but it's just that that's kind of their way to cope with it, and so getting the mental health professional on board as soon as possible is really important. But especially counselors, like you can see, like if you see some like things on the arms, like please don't err on the side of caution, just so we can like make sure that we're taking care of these kids, because like I said, we love them so much. So okay, anything else with this one? Okay, so here are the essential skills the camp counselor needs to have in order to recognize these extreme behaviors. So let's go ahead and keep reading. I think we were here with Sushi.
What are the essential skills that the camp counselor needs to have in order to recognize extreme behaviors? Observation. Knowing campers need to know.
Having a trusting relationship with each camper.
Being aware of where all of your campers are.
Paying close attention at mealtime.
So these two are like pretty much like coincide with each other, because at mealtime there is a lot of like other things going on. So that is a like excellent opportunity for them to kind of slip away, because it's not as obvious that they're gone, because you can think that they're like out playing basketball. So just make sure you're like, especially during mealtime, you're abiding by the rule of 3, and you as counselors are like keeping track of where they're at. Okay, so this is just like to add on to the policy that I think we already talked about this, but if you suspect any extreme behavior, whether this is like observation, circumstance, or just a gut feeling, like we are legally responsible to and obligated to report it to the camp advisor. So, like this is important. All suspicions of extreme behavior should be treated like a disclosure of child abuse. So in the same way we treat child abuse extremely seriously, we treat these things as well. Okay, so here's a different rule of 3. Poor naming, if you ask me, but whatever. This is what they call, as far as when, like if somebody were to come talk to you about, like, hey, I need to talk to you about something. So, one is to listen. Listen to them. Don't like cut them off. But it is very important, like if they start opening up to you, that if they say, please don't tell anyone, like you cannot promise them that. You cannot say like, I promise I'm not going to say anything. It might be even better for you to say like, not to interrupt them, but like mention that you're going to have to like talk to somebody about this, not to get them in trouble, but to like seek help for them, which is important for number 2. And then number 2 is get help, and then number 3 is to report it. Okay, so I need somebody to answer this. Who's like a science? Anyone an astronomy major? Didn't think so. There's probably not any astronomy majors. Any sci-fi nerds? Are you? Can you explain to me what's on the other side of a black hole?
I would say a different galaxy, but it's probably not it.
It's not? What's on the other side of a black hole? Does anyone know? This is not the answer. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I took an astronomy class, and according to my professor,
They don't know.
Like inside the black hole, they don't know. Past the surface is what they can see. They have no idea what's in the black hole. That was the whole idea of Interstellar.
It could be that, yeah. Okay, good. That's the point that I wanted to make, is that we don't know what is on the other side of the black hole. There's theories, different reasons of why it could happen, But with the same things as far as these serious issues that we've been talking about, like we necessarily don't know why these are going on. So
Really cool, so I was right.
you were right.
I knew I was.
Attaboy. Yeah, snaps to that one. So just in summary, if you forget anything else that we talked about today, just remember this is all out of love for these kids, and these are the 3 things we need to make sure that we're extremely careful of if serious issues like these come up. Is that we're being supportive, that we talk about things that we see as a form of support, and never ever ever do we avoid or do we shame or do we punish people because of behavior like that. And then as they're talking to you, or as it comes up, if it's in that circumstances, just express understanding to them, and it'll go a lot better. So that is all that I have for today. Thanks guys for coming. Enjoy finals if you can. Good luck on them.